So I kind of wanted to get into the grappling hook a little bit on a little bit of common sense usage and a little bit of ninjutsu as well. Um, Although, to be honest, I would just call it pretty much common sense usage of a grappling hook. Okay. So everybody understands that you can throw it on top of buildings or on top of pretty much anything that these tines will get connected to, and you can tie a rope through the loop and pretty much climb the rope. Okay. This is called the grapple buddy. This one is actually designed for boats. And basically the idea with this particular one is that you would throw it to shore. It would entangle on the rocks or whatever the hell is on the shore, and then you can pull your rope across. Notice that this is not the folding kind sold at Century.com or anything like that. This is a fully welded, galvanized chunk of steel welded together. Okay, it's called a grapple buddy. I like it because it's a hell of a lot stronger. Okay, the ones that collapse, if you're a guy of any size, it may not hold you up. And I've seen and heard situations where they break and stuff like that. This would be less likely to do so. Have I climbed on this? No. Would I be hesitant to do it? Not really, no. But on the other hand, I don't really foresee me climbing trees much. But I have it anyway, just in case, for whatever reason. I did grab it because a while back I was living in a second-story apartment, and there was only one door. So if I had to, I would have used a rope combined with this, tied in a way that would give me a sort of a rope ladder, so I could attach this to my window and escape out the window if I had to. Alright, so let's talk a little bit more about self-defense usage, because to me that seems to be the more interesting part of it. Obviously this thing is and it also goes into improvised weaponry. Let's see that. It's kind of an interesting idea, huh? So anyway, if I'm going to use this in an improvised weapons situation, I don't have the rope attached to it. I can always grab it right behind the hooks like this, and it will shield my hand to an extent, and it gives me something nice to bash with. Okay. I also have this main hook here that I can use to hook and rip whatever comes into my path. I also have this shank to strike with as well. Okay. So that gives you an understanding of how to use it from this position. Now if I do have a rope attached to it, I don't at this point, but if I did, I could then use this weight as somewhat of a meteor hammer as well. If you guys aren't familiar with a meteor hammer, I'll give you a real quick synopsis of it. It's basically a weight, a couple pounds, maybe a pound, pound and a half, something like that, of basically an iron ball that's attached to a rope or a chain, and then you would strike your opponent with that ball. There were different ways of launching it, there was different ways of throwing it, there was different ways of using it, and using the rope and chain to entangle the opponents as well. That's why it's a great weapon. But at the end of the day, it's still just a weight on the end of the chain. At the end of the day, this is still just a weight on the end of the rope. Okay? So all the techniques for a meteor hammer you could use for this as well. Let's go on to a few other things. If I were to throw this past my opponent and I have the rope attached, I can literally pull the hook into my opponent, pulling my opponent closer to me, at which then I can strike as I'm doing that. The idea would be throwing it at my opponent, it entangles him, so I pull the rope, and as he's coming forward, I launch my attack. And what that does for me is my force pulling him towards me causes him to speed up towards my fist. My fist then launching into him, because I'm doing a rocking motion of launching myself into his face with my fist or open hand or whatever, at that point, that gives me greater advantage. That makes my hit even harder, okay? Just common, simple physics, okay? And this kind of gets to one of the main points. It doesn't matter where a lot of things come from, as long as the physics and as long as it makes sense and as long as it works. So anyway, that's a real quick synopsis of a grappling hook from my understanding. So anyway, thanks. I appreciate your comments. I appreciate your views. I appreciate your time. Defend your homes wisely.